What's the best way to put that? Oh.
Just, you should be able to ask to join, or I can ask you to join.
So what do we go into to do that?
Let's see if we're up and going here.
Okay.
I can't see a darn thing. Oh, there we go.
Found it?
There we go. All right, we're live. We're live on Bowed Not Broken, and we're live on Bo Babka. And just want to give everybody a couple of minutes, see if we get anybody on. But again, it's 9 o'clock, and I'm true to my word. Every day at 9 o'clock, we're going to have a little bit of a vent session, or a session where you can post things that are important to you during this quarantine and all the stuff that goes along. Welcome everybody we have a lot of friends from around the country and here in Utah, where it's a beautiful day out there. I keep saying that I'm going to do something from outside, and I'll probably try to do that tomorrow. But again, this is the no judgment zone. This is the Daily Bend, and just for those that want to watch and tune in, the ground rules, we're just trying to be positive. We're trying to lift people up. We're trying to help people understand what's going on, even if I don't understand what's going on in the world right now. But I told you that I would have, let me see if I can bring you on, or if you can tag on. I've got my friend Bill, and I've told you about Bill, and he is the CEO of the Draper Chamber of Commerce, and I want to have him on maybe every couple days, just to talk about what's going on in the business world from his perspective. If you want to talk about boots on the ground, he's boots on the ground. If anybody can acknowledge they're on the Bo Babka side, if they're there, just raise your hand, or like put a little hand there, or see if that's working or not. And then I'm trying to figure out how to bring Bill on. Bill, does it show you a button to join or ask to join at all?
Where on Facebook?
On your screen, if you have it, if you're watching, are you watching?
No, let me do that.
Yeah, go to my feed. I know I tagged you on a couple. I don't know if it was. I know it was on both. But okay. So we're here at the Draper Chamber here on Pioneer Avenue in Draper. Thought we're doing our appropriate social distancing without masks, but I did share the screen. Let's see if I can.
So this is what I have.
No, it should be live. You should be able to tap in. If you go to my screen, you should be able to tap in. I don't have the best of equipment, but hopefully you're watching and listening. And if not, hope you'll share, and hope you'll watch it later on. So you have that on there. I might just turn this computer around. Let me just do that. Hi, Patrice. Thanks for joining us for a little while. Great lady, super woman, very positive lady. Again, we're just here. This is a positive social cast, I call it. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things, but today I wanted to have Bill Rapley from the Draper Chamber of Commerce. There's Mary. Mary's on, watching. Let me turn this around, and you can adjust it to your, make sure the camera is on you. Is the camera, can you see the camera?
Go back a little bit.
Huh? Go back a little bit. Okay. There's
Morning,
Bill.
everybody.
There's Bill. Bill, tell us what's going on, and tell us from your perspective what, you can turn that off or turn it down, or leave it up if you want. From your perspective, what's going on?
Well, as we all know, they've got the stay-at-home, recommendation from the governor. In Salt Lake is actually mandatory, and it's almost mandatory everywhere else. And they've got a lot of directives in place. Things have been changing. Where at one point they said wear some gloves, do some things like that. Now they're saying that's probably not a good thing. So I do recommend paying attention to this. They're recommending doing a mask now. Most of the stores have tried to come up with ways to survive this shutdown. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do is, if you know restaurants or you see restaurants, a lot of them, one thing we've done in Draper is they can put up a banner, say they're open for curbside or pickup or delivery. And so, try to, and I know it's hard to get your families at home and whatnot, but if you can actually order food 3 times a week out, save somebody from cooking dinner for everybody that's been home all day. Not only can that maybe take a little stress off the home life, but it can also create a nice little income stream for these restaurants that are just really struggling. Their revenues are down from 30 to 80%, and it's a very big concern for us because as this goes on and on and on, this becomes more difficult. Now, there's been some federal packages come through that we've tried to encourage people to sign up for, SBA loans. Some of it is forgivable, but I know that there isn't that much money to go around, so you have to get in and get signed up right away. If you can. You can go to your local bank. I know Zions is one of the local banks, but there's several in the area, and it could be your bank that could help you do that because the loans actually go through the local banks. And so if you haven't done that and you're a business owner, I encourage you to jump on and see if you can get that. The other thing we have is a paycheck protection. That's the other thing that can help you actually that will pay your employees. So look into that. And it can all be found at coronavirus, .gov for the Utah area. So you can look that up. And we also send out a newsletter at least once a week, if not twice a week, on the different resources and what there is out there to do. Also, this week we've been doing free educational videos through Boyd Peterson for business. So we invite you to try to join in on some of those things and see what those are and take advantage of those. And we'll be having a national speaker come up on the 22nd of April. He does sales training and all sorts of different things, but we'll be streaming or webinaring that out. I don't have the details from him yet. He was originally supposed to come live, and he can't because of the restrictions of the pandemic. So anyway, those are some of the challenges, and don't forget about the chamber. The chamber is the same problem. We have no way of making revenue during this time, so not sure what we're going to do either. We're in the same boat, everybody else, because we can't have meetings, can't have our door open, these types of things, because we have to do this protection type of organization we've done. So appreciate Bo being here, longtime friend, great supporter of the chamber, and a real community advocate to be here and get the word out, because a lot of times what you get on the news isn't quite exactly what's happening on the ground. And there's so many stories out from the business people, but I can tell you they're hurting. The margins for restaurants is really small anyhow, and so you throw a wrench in the gears for them, and it really makes it tough. And especially little startups like, we've got the Country Kitchen here, we've got a few of those other ones around here, but the Cliff, these places, man, they've started up, they've finally got a little bit of following, and now this happens. It's really a heartbreaking thing to see that happening. And of course, they've even put travel restrictions into place. So if you're not aware of that, they will check you if you go outside the county to recreate. They may check your, where you live and whatnot, because you're theoretically not supposed to recreate outside of your own county that you live in. So traditional Easter, runs down to St. George and stuff, I guess, are off as far as the health advisories go.
Hey, everybody, I appreciate you guys watching. I know I can't see the screens because I wanted Bill to take some time. And again, thanks for this is just information. If you have any questions, we'll get to them here in just a few minutes. But Bill, I know you've received a lot of calls. What's been other than obviously financial ruin, businesses are worried about dying during this time, but what are the other concerns? I guess, let's back up a minute. The value of a local chamber of commerce, let's talk about the value of that. the Salt Lake Chamber is a big, machine, and I'm not here to bash that. What I'm trying to get at is a lot of you folks out there may not even know that Chamber of Commerce exists, and the fundamental missions of them is to help and to help thrive and get businesses on the right track, so there's not that going out of business within 2-3 years. It's about supporting them, and it's about providing education. It's about networking. It's about all those things. Would you just talk for a minute about that, and then some of your calls, just raw calls that you've had over the last 3 weeks or so?
Well, over the years, I'll just start with Eric. So, it's always similar because businesses always struggle.
Right.
It's always a challenge to have a small business. Any little downturn, a pipe breaks in your building, it's a catastrophic if you're shut down for 2 days.
Right.
Well, here now we're into a thing where we're going on almost a month, and so it's really hard. And anything you do to them, as the environment changes or a road construction or all these things really give them a setback. This is extraordinary, of course. The Chamber's role in that is we try to be an ear for that. We have, we don't have a lot of money as a small chamber. We don't have extraordinary funds to tap into. There's just 1.5 of us that actually work here.
And that's similar to many Chamber of Commerce.
That's similar to many
Most
chambers are very similar to that. And so really it's about half volunteer job, and you get some pay to do it. But we run on it. Just I try to trade for most of the things we get to save money so we can operate. Our primary focus has been education, to help businesses find a better way to run the business, how to manage their money better, how to be better managers, how to hire people, all these types of things, how to set up an HR program. Because small businesses don't have sometimes a luxury of having an HR person. How to be aware of some of the things that can get you in trouble as an employer. Make sure that you've got policies in place that will protect you if something happens.
I had a question. I don't
ahead.
mean to stop you right away. That's good information. Let's talk a little bit about the future. What's the possibility of landlords? I mean, because look, most businesses are in strip malls. They don't own their own business. Depending on brick and mortar, whatever it is. Do you think that there's going to be any relief for landlords to? Because obviously whatever stimulus that businesses get, it's going to all go to rent. I mean, they're not, and trying to keep their employees. But the landlords and the people that are renting and leasing, they have banks they have to pay as well.
Right.
So is there any strategy that you know of to? Because the main cost is obviously number one, personnel, but number two would be your space.
The cost of running a business.
Anything in the mix about that?
What's happening is they're helping the federal government's helping the banks.
Right.
And it's not exactly clear how, but they're encouraging the banks to back off on rent payments, and this includes housing too, by the way, for at least 3 months. But it's not a mandate, and so what you need to do if you have rent due on either your home or your business, you need to call those landlords and talk to them about that.
Find out what's going on.
Yeah, talk to them about that. Tell them you understood that, in certain cases they could, delay that rent. Now, at some point you got to make that up.
Sure.
So it's not free. It's not free rent for 3 months or whatever, but it's meant to be a gap filler, for this time. And so I think the banks are going to get something from that. And so a lot of the banks are kind of coming out and saying, yeah, we're doing that. I read a thing yesterday, Bank of America is making a big thing about that. They want to do that. So I think there will be more of them following that. But if you have an independent landlord, for example, that they may own the building, okay, and owning the building doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
And so they may have costs associated with their own staff or maintenance.
Right, yeah, common area
so
stuff.
they may have a harder time fulfilling that suggestion of backing off of that for 3 months. But hopefully they'll do that. But again, if you're a small business, go get into the SBA. Do it right now. Do it today. I know that the money was going pretty fast, but the majority leader in the Senate, McConnell, he said he hopes to get another one passed, another stimulus thing for businesses passed maybe this week.
What do you see? What do you see as far as have you seen anything about businesses actually kind of reinventing themselves? Involved in not just making face masks, but I mean, have you seen any? I mean, obviously this time restaurants can only do the to-go thing and
right.
That kind of thing. But have you seen any other businesses be very creative and maybe something that you might see a trend coming in the future, other than Zoom meetings and things like that?
Well, the only one that comes to mind off the top of my head is we have some distilleries around the valley, and a byproduct is the alcohol that comes off of that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I guess some of them were making hand cleaner for themselves.
Sure.
But now they're seeing a need for that because there's a shortage of that. Anybody who's tried to buy it in the stores knows that you can't buy it. So they're actually starting to sell that out there. So they're doing that. I think that's a small little piece of that. But I think that can expand. As a restaurant, if you can figure out a way to produce more food, get some vendors that maybe stores that will buy those prepackaged foods or whatever you can do. Yeah. Maybe you can get into some of that stuff. It's hard to do, especially if you're short on any kind of cash, which you might be. But if you use some of the federal money to protect your employees, keep them on, they'll get the paycheck protection. There's some extra unemployment things that they can get. But we want to try to keep them off unemployment if we can, because what the whole plan is if you can keep those employees around and keep them busy and keep them tied to you, then when it's time to come back on, you can just bring it back on. You don't have to go find your employees, re-employ them, and all these different things.
Which in concept is a good thing.
Yeah,
which
they
in
may leave you
concept
too.
is great.
Can you blame them if they feel like
No,
they're out of work?
They might have to.
And there's a lot of things that in our own community here, a lot of companies have switched over where they're doing delivery and all these types of things. So they're trying to pick up the slack on those employees and hire them where they need money and stuff. But it's still not enough. And I don't know what the real numbers are, because there's all sorts of numbers being thrown around out there about what the unemployment is, but it's fairly high.
I think this morning nationally another 6 million people filed for unemployment.
But anyway,
it's going to be even more next week.
If you've been watching this, that should be expected.
Yep.
It wasn't like that's a big surprise for us.
Right.
Anytime you create a government mandate that the businesses have to close for health safety reasons, you're going to have a spike in unemployment. How can you possibly do it otherwise?
This may be just a stupid question, and I apologize for anybody out there, but do you think we're gonna survive? What do you think? I hate to be grim, but percentage of businesses, how many do you think are really going to survive? Businesses.
The gurus of this stuff. I heard it talked about it yesterday that they think 20% may not make it.
Boy, that seems
it's a high
nice.
number.
Well, that seems nice.
Yeah, but that's still a high number. You think 20%?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and you look at
of
the amount
30
of people,
million business or 40 million.
And what's bad about those are the typical of the ones that are trying to scratch a living.
Right.
So those are the people that, finally got their restaurant open and they're finally making money. This has been a lifetime dream. They put all their savings into it. And that's the part that bothers me the most. This is the American dream, and this puts a dagger in the heart of that. So, do everything you can. If you know a neighbor that owns a business, call them up, say, how you doing? Encourage them to, get some of the loans, talk to their local banker, do whatever they can. You can even set up a GoFundMe page for your favorite restaurant if you want.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Just do whatever you can. Even for us at the chamber, anything you can help us with. I don't care if you send us $1. $1 is better than no dollars.
Right.
And we don't even have a funding mechanism set up yet. We'll probably have to do that.
Well, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because you're kind of the silent, you guys sometimes become the silent motivator in small business. I mean, all
Right.
these local chamber of commerce that have been successful in bringing in economically developing their cities, that's what's
Yeah.
important.
We're kind of an underpin.
Yeah.
Because we don't have big grant money to throw around. We don't have that kind of economic, impact as a chamber. What we do is we actually get down in the trenches, roll up our sleeves, and help. Many businesses, I've helped them do that, helped them, wade through the health department stuff, because I have experience in it, all the things they have to do, things to be aware of when they go and get their business license, how to answer those questions, resources to go to, how to talk to a bank, all these things, how to manage.
So let me just level up here for a second. And those that are watching from other places in the country and those here in Utah, that every community has what Draper has, and I think that's the other motivation for this morning is look into your local, businesses and your chamber, especially your chamber. See how you might be able to. That's a great way to help.
Yeah,
there might be some volunteer opportunities that those chambers know of on how to help their businesses. And obviously we want to help each other out as humans, person to person at social distance.
Yeah,
but
and let me throw something in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bo is actually a really good example of that. We've been friends over the years, but he has taken summer opportunities, and even if his economic situation isn't the best, he's taken so many opportunities to come and help me film stuff and do all these type of things, because we don't have the money to hire somebody to do that. And so he will volunteer. Our entire board is volunteers. And so, we have a board of 13 people, and so that's the strength that we have. And of course, that's who reaches out to the other businesses and whatnot. It's not a money pinning thing. We have small funds that we use to put on events and stuff. And of course, now we're handicapped in that process. We're hoping we can get back to that. If everything goes right, maybe we can get back to our fundraising golf tournament in September. We do that every year. That's our biggest fundraiser of the year. But it's one of those things that it does take everybody to support a business community. You got to think about buying local. I mean, Small Business Week is coming up, and it's odd because most of the small businesses are shut down. That's coming up, and we'll probably still advertise it out there on our network and whatnot. But it's the time, if you have friends that have small businesses, thank them and encourage them and do what you can to help them. It's going to take everybody. It's going to take everybody to do that. But it's great for the Amazons and Walmarts and Costco's. They will survive this just fine. In fact, their revenues are up.
Yeah, well, 400%, right?
So, but the little guys, because of the situation they have, and encourage your local county and city and whatnot to maybe make exceptions on certain things. I mean, I agree. We need to follow the health standards. We don't want to get people sick. It's a very deadly, virus that's out there. If you get it, it can be deadly. I've had 2 friends with it, and one of them is a young girl. She's in her 20s, but her mother has put some videos out, and just talking about how scary it is. So it's something to take serious. I'm not trying to tell people to take it lightly, but somehow if this goes on and on and on, we got to figure out how to live with it, and be able to do business and still stay safe from the virus. What the answer to that is, I don't know.
Yeah, what that's going to look like, we don't know.
But, at some point, people have got to go back to work. They've got bills to pay. Every one of us is in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. What do I do? What do I do if the money runs out? We all have to start asking ourselves that question now. And every one of these businesses you drive by, I drove around after this first started, when they first started shut everything down, and just videotape around Draper. And I'm probably going to do more. I'll probably put that online when I finally get something put together. And it's and you've probably seen some stuff already of how awkward it is to see an entire Draper Peaks, for example, you go look at that, the parking lot's almost vacant. It's frightening in a way, but instead of being scared, we have to rise up as people and do something. We have to figure out a way to help these people survive. It's a nice little, saying that working together we can get through this, but working, it requires you rolling up your sleeves and doing stuff and helping these people. So that's what I encourage everybody to do.
Maybe what we could do, what we've been talking about doing is going to a business, once a morning or something like that. Maybe starting next week. Maybe go to a local coffee shop.
Let's just throw this out here, Bo. If they can get a hold of you if they want to be on.
Sure.
And so I invite all Draper businesses that are interested in telling their story. I want to hear your story. That's what I want. I actually wrote a piece for the newspaper. It got cut, didn't get run, and that was one of the things I asked to do. Is I wanted to talk about your stories, and here's the interesting thing I'm finding out: these businesses that are suffering, they're actually serving. They're actually doing things for other people. It's just an amazing thing to see that they're jumping in and making masks or all these things when they're barely alive themselves because of the downturn. Well,
and that would be a good parallel because there's businesses, everywhere in the country is just like we have cities and businesses everywhere. Yeah, so that'd be a great exercise area. And let people tell their stories and maybe they can learn from one another.
Statistics tell one thing, okay? And it's usually not a good thing. It's usually, use those numbers to prove a certain point. And what this thing really affects the most is emotions.
Sure.
And it's affected me. A couple of days ago, I was so down. I felt like I've just been beaten down to where I couldn't function. I can't take one more hurdle to jump over. So I do feel what you're saying, and and it gets you in tears. It just cuts you right down to the bare. And we want to put those stories out there. And why is because our leaders need to know that it's not just about the fact that you're running out of money. That's one part, but the heartbreak is when you spent years building this dream and it's being ripped away from you. That's the part that just tears my heart out to see that happening.
I don't know if you guys can sense the emotion in the room, but I certainly can. I looked across at him, and this is a passionate man with tears in his eyes just because he's watching some of the things that go on. That's what we're here for. That's why I started to do this little thing every morning. Bowed Not Broken, man. We're all trying to figure out how to get through this together. And I want to highlight business. I want to highlight individuals. I want to highlight, but mental health, no matter who you are, I think Bill will agree. Mental health he just admitted that, he's just struggling. I don't think there's anybody out there that's not struggling to get along. And there are days when, there are days when we ever going to get out of this thing. We ever going to, and so it's important to reach out to each other. In every way, in every which way, and in the business world as well, as a consumer or as an owner, let us know how, if you got whatever you've got going, reach out to us, let us know what you're doing during these times, ask questions, things like that.
And it's very fitting too, we're all being bowed right now.
That's right. We're always.
And I got that vision a long time that Bo had about this, and that's part of life. I've been through a bunch of them. Bo's got stories that go for a long time, but every one of us have a story. And stories are important because they can share a way that we can get through it. Working together we'll get through that is a great saying, but until we connect, until we actually share how we feel with each other and try to buoy each other up and say, I feel the same way. And maybe something that you found that helped, and you can share that with another person, or we can, create a network of people trying to help, or people trying to raise funds, or people, whatever we do. It's really action items, not just so we feel bad for them. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. but together we can do stuff that really make a difference. And then maybe, we can have a celebration if we can get this thing back on track and try to celebrate the entrepreneurial spirit that really drives this, because it's different than just a calculated business decision. People are driven by their passion and what they like to do. I mean, especially restaurants. I mean, if you know any restaurateurs, you know that half of them, they started because they love to cook. They started with something as simple as that. So,
well, and the socialization in a restaurant is amazing.
Right.
As an owner, I've been there myself. You love when people, obviously you want to make money, but you love that interaction between people.
Well, you said something the other day that I thought was very interesting about how you recognize something that was missing. And I saw it in another thing, and another thing about it, and they finally, what they recognized is people. The energy of being around people, because we're really forced to be apart.
We are.
Stay apart and everything else. And, whether you're a people person or not, being around other people really energizes you.
Yes.
And you just feel that energy from that. And that's lacking. And that's, a lot of our gas tanks are getting really empty.
Yeah, they are, in one way or another.
Separated.
Hey, thank you. And stay where you are. But
Okay.
On a happy note, what have you been? We've talked about what your favorite meme is, or what your. I've seen so many different memes, and if you have a good meme out there, post it on the pages or whatever it is, and tag me or on mine. And your favorite show. I mean, I think we've watched. I don't know if you're a Netflixer or you're just a movie person, but
lately I haven't focused on much of anything other than just worry about all this stuff. But something my daughter said, and I'll just share that with you, and it's pretty close to my heart, so if I break down, please forgive me. But my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia this year, and we're very thankful that the Huntsman Center has medication and programs that they're able to give them, and it was the bone marrow type, but she didn't have to have that, a bone marrow transplant anyway. So she's doing well on the medication, but she said something the other night. She said one thing she liked about the pandemic is because it's throwing everybody into this real scare, and it was sudden and unexpected, and they've had to adjust to it. She goes, now they know how I felt when the doctors told me that. And I remember feeling that, being in the hospital that day and listening to the doctors tell that. And as a father, let me tell you, that's probably one of the hardest gut punches you can take. I don't know what it'd be like to lose a child. I hope I never know. I don't have to experience that. But, my daughter sensed that because people are understanding her more since this pandemic, because it helps us all feel something. The fear of being sick, the fear of our family being sick. And she's had to live that for a while now. And she's so strong. I mean, this person she's a small person as far as stature, but one of the strongest people I know. But that's, that's not a meme, but it's something that I've learned through this. And she feels like, in her words, that we'll come out better on the other end because of learning how to be compassionate for other people, because it can happen to anybody. And that kind of all puts us on a level footing. It's not those people. It's not that person. They must have done something wrong to get sick. We all know.
No, the shame and guilt does not have any place
like you said,
in
no
this at
judgment.
all.
We got to get away from that. That person, they deserved it because they didn't wear their mask. It's just ridiculous behavior like that. But, the more we get away from that, and we judge people because of their lifestyle, their beliefs, or whatever else, the worse off we are. Because the greatest thing we can do in life is lift up other people. Bo knows that. He does this. I try to do that every day. And the days that I feel the best are the days that I can help somebody. And they're usually small things. It's not, it's not handing people a big bag of money. I mean, I wish I was a rich guy and I could do that, but that's not what makes the world go round. It's doing those, it's that caring It's that phone call from somebody who says, "Hey, look, Sally, I've been thinking about you. I know you have that little, boutique shop. How you doing? You okay?" That is golden, my friends. That is golden. When people reach out to me and say things like that, it's just those, you walk away from that phone call 2 inches off the ground. Does it take away the problems? No. But those are the little things that we can do to help each other through this. So make sure that you do. Chambers have always talked about networking. This is probably the best time to network, but we can't do it in person. But you can start reaching out. Just how you doing? How's your health? Ask them. I've had people ask me, "You healthy?" Yeah, I'm proud to say I am. I'm lucky, I guess. So I think those little things like that can be very helpful to get us through this. I was telling Bo this morning, sometimes I can only take so much brain poison. That's what they call watching too much news or, reading too much on the internet about this or that or the other. We all know what that does to you. You can go down the rabbit hole and read all sorts of stories about this pandemic and, this or that, this leader, that leader. But the fact is that's brain poison. What you have to do is decide that you're going to go forward. You may be bowed, but don't let it break you.
That's right.
Don't let it break you, because you can always spring back if you're just bowed.
That's right. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know what else I could say on that one. Bill, it's been amazing to have you here. Let's before we scoot out of here. Christian, thanks for watching just a little bit. I don't know if you're still watching. No matter what, we're all going to need to buckle down and work harder, smarter than ever before to make it through this unprecedented time in history. I hope we all pay attention and support Eric Mutos. Eric, his proposal or his, I'll have to introduce you to Eric. He posted an interesting thing about businesses and things like that. Eric's a former police officer.
Good.
He had great perspective, so I'll have to do that. Bob Fitzgerald, my man, thanks for coming. Thought, or rather question for today: if a business can demonstrate safe distancing of their workers and protection of their customers, why can't they be open for business? The food industry has altered the way they do business. Grocery stores have to. So why doesn't it apply when safe conditions and practices can be put in place? As this pandemic has altered lives, I've realized that every business is a part of a critical infrastructure. Interesting thought. I think he's talking about, why can we go to a store and social distance, but we can't go to a restaurant and social distance?
Yeah, and I agree with that sentiment, by the way. It's a very good observation because I think, especially if we get into the warmer months, I was thinking about this yesterday. Why can't a restaurant have tables that are separated? Okay, so a family can come there. I realize that other people are supposed to stay away, but you could have maybe, two tops or something like that where but you could have it outside.
Right, have it outside. Yeah, that would
have
be
it outside. So it's not an enclosed environment, and you could at least serve some, something.
I think Bill. I think Bob's I think Bob's right on.
Yeah,
I think it was a good comment and an inquiry as to why aren't we doing something like that.
And we need people like that to come on with Bo and have these discussions, and then maybe if we can get enough people to kind of think this way, we can start maybe talking to leaders about this. As this drags on, that's my biggest fear.
Right. The dragging on. I hope you guys can still hear Bill. I don't want to have to turn it around all the time, but
hopefully you can hear me on that.
Hopefully we can get Bob's got his own little daily thing too. I'd like to get Bob on. Maybe it might have to be at a different time, but. Thanks, Christian. I
appreciate you, Bob.
Bob,
appreciate
thanks. Christian says we'd love to share our story and also reach out and help anyone we can in any way. I'm going to try and get Christian on as well.
Good.
Because Christian's got his Philoa. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of other things. He's creative, exordium, things like that. Christian, let's hook up. I was meaning to call you anyway. Fred Lewis, the old warrior. This is awesome. Fred is karate and I think jiu-jitsu and judo. Fred, an old cop from Salt Lake City, just an amazing warrior. He does a lot of volunteer stuff for kids physically. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Love to have him on. Prayers for your daughter, someone said, which is awesome.
Thank you for that.
People, Patrice, sorry for your daughter and all that. Strong woman. Thanks for your comment, Patrice. That's awesome. I think it applies to manufacturing and all business. That's what he says. Bob says as well. And it's right. I mean,
I agree with that 100%.
I don't think it's beating a dead horse. I think we need to talk about that in the next few days. Yeah. We need to talk about, and not create but it just, we were talking about before we went on. Why, if we're social distancing in the markets and the stores, why can't we do that in other places
too?
too?
A good case in point is there was a thing on the airport. They're continuing the construction on the airport. Right. They had the health department come out, check out the construction company. They said, hey, you're doing an amazing job with social distancing.
Yeah, and how close, people are close all the time when they're...
Yeah, so I don't see why maybe the standard could be that the health department come out and give you recommendations of how you could be open and operate if you create these conditions. As opposed to, no.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We'll do that. Thank you, Christian. Let's connect and let's have you guys on. You'll have to show me how to patch people in and out. I think it'd be great. And we'll do reciprocal stuff to help each other out. Ben Barlow, the man. Ben, how are you doing with your construction stuff still, all that? Love to hear from you in the days to come. And anybody wants to come on and share their story, please just, either, what do you call it, direct message me. My number is all over this thing. Just get a hold of me and let's chat. Let's chat. Anything else to add, Bill? We've gone for a good 45 minutes. And
first of all, thank you everybody for tuning in and listening to this. I think maybe we waited too long to do some of these things. But it's just one of those things. We're in shock like everybody else. I didn't expect Draper Seed to shut down. They did. I realized they had to. I'm not arguing the point about that. I think they're trying to keep us all safe, but at the same time, I think we, the people, need to figure out a way to survive this. The leaders can only do so much. Throwing money at it will only do so much. They've got to allow our innovation to lead.
Wow. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm glad everybody could join us. Bill's a wealth of information. As you can see, he's genuine. He cares about people. Obviously, he's vulnerable. He talks about the things that are on his mind. He cares a lot about people, and obviously his family. He cares about you. We all care about what's going on, and that's the whole reason why I'm doing this. 9 o'clock hour every morning. You get on and vent. You can get on and talk about anything you want to talk about. Today was small business and businesses and how it's affecting everyone, how it's just affecting so many people. Ben says he's busy, which is good. He's still busy. He does remodels and stuff like that.
Yeah, anyway, hire people if you can. Ramp up. Do what you can.
I'm sure he's doing what he can. The entire quarantine and now geo-lockdown of the southern border is a complete assault on our rights and liberties. Ben has some interesting and some good topics all about we the people. There's some things that are going on that maybe we can get into here pretty soon. But anyway, 45 minutes is always good enough unless there's something else that we need to talk about. I don't think so, but we'll see you again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And Bill, thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
and
everybody else that tuned in.
We pray for all the businesses and individuals out there. Remember, we're all bowed, not broken, and it's all about the bend. We just got to do it,
whether you're religious or not. Tomorrow, by multitude of
that's right,
religious organizations. A day of fasting if you do that, or a prayer, or whatever, or just even if you're not that type of person, meditate for it.
Exactly. All you intermittent fasters out there too, it's a great time to pull your energy together collectively.
Yeah, the people can change the world one person at a time. They really can. And this is a time for us to step up.
Let's do it.